Hello, and welcome back to Ancient Aliens in Modern Times. We're your hosts, Melanie Wild and
Stephanie Yelovich. Let's get into it, my friends.
woo woo.
I really just keep singing that. I think next time I have to have like a melody planned.
Yeah, I mean, you are a singer, so it's only
am.
appropriate.
I won't blast you all with opera at the beginning of the podcast, though. It's intense.
But there's no promises we won't go there, hey?
Yeah, there's no promises.
Oh, my friend Stephanie, what are we talking about today?
Well, we are continuing, friends, our Pantheon series. So today we're going to be going into talking about the royals, so the royal family, and then as well Hollywood and celebrity land and these very normal individual people that we glorify and talk to each other about who has whose baby and like it's important.
Yeah. Why are these celebrities gods?
That's
Like they told us to worship them, so we worshiped them?
that's a really good question. I think it's so interesting to see these beings have basically become almost like a standard for image, for health. Like if we look at, for instance, let's just look at an example. I'm just shooting right out of the gate with this one. But let's look at, the Ozempic era that we're in. So let's look at a couple years ago, right, where everything was about body positivity, and Lizzo was like, "Yeah, my body's this way, but I love me and I'm great." And we look at people like Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy and like these body positive, curvier women, totally cool. Like you do you, you be you. And this was like the really big topic and the norm and the thing that we kind of got into. Now, notice we're in the era of Ozempic. And this is a very specific example. But now all of these artists, who most of whom I just mentioned, have all started taking Ozempic and are now all much thinner. And so now it's all about like biohacking and your health, and we have to make sure that we're watching, like, which is the truth. We need to watch what we eat. We need to exercise. We need to take care of ourselves. There is no shortcut. There are shortcuts, but in the long run, are they healthy, really? So,
Right.
that's a really specific example, but we look at how so many people will just kind of follow. If you give examples and say that this is beautiful or say that this is important, or these artists are so talented, right? We follow, the crowd follows, and we use these examples to shape how we dress, how we look, what music we listen to. And what's so interesting is so much of their talent is manufactured. So I'm sure all of these artists, they have raw talent. They're incredible artists. And I'm not going to use examples yet, but I find that here they are doing their thing, and then they get scooped up by them. And, and I don't even
The
know if I
holding
know.
off.
Yeah, the holding off. But they get scooped up and they essentially sell their souls, right? So, like, if, for example, let's look at Beyonce for instance, right?
Ooh,
So
going in
this
hard.
was this is a she like this is a big artist. A lot of people love her. They call her queen. Anything Beyonce
Queen.
does goes, right? And what's interesting is so much has come out more recently that's shown us some kind of spooky, dark things about Beyonce. And such a talented artist, like when she was part of Destiny's Child. And I remember listening to Destiny's Child when they first came out.
Destiny's Child.
Right? It was like girl power, girl group, like also Black women being platformed, like super amazing, super progressive. Women talking about
We
like, I
didn't see it like that back then. They were
no,
just
not
people.
at all.
Yeah,
Not at all. They were just people singing, and we loved them because they were talented and because they
yeah,
were really great artists. And then
great.
it's interesting because they split, and then Beyoncé went and did her own thing. And then I
And why
started to
do you
notice,
think that happened? Because
well,
maybe they were offered a deal
mhm,
And maybe some of them didn't want to sell their souls, but someone like Queen Bee
Yep.
was down.
I think so too. And I think we have to look to at like her husband and who she married, who, we were told was like super abusive, like, and really not a nice person. Like, was that her choice? Was she into it?
Was
We
that
don't
her
know.
handler? Was she groomed? Because she was,
Was
like,
that her handler?
16 in
Mhm.
Destiny's Child.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
and look at, like, Britney Spears and these young people, Justin Bieber, who is Canadian, right? These young artists that see the dollar signs, they see the world fame, they're sold a dream, and then they often literally sell their souls to have this dream, and it's what's interesting is, um, this is not, I'm gonna say, not confirmed, but there is talk of many of these artists being essentially brainwashed. So, we are aware of a very real thing called MKUltra, a legit covert CIA program that ran mainly from the 1950s into the early 1970s during the Cold War. And the goal was to study mind control. They used interrogation techniques, behavior modification, using methods like LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, sleep deprivation, and electroshock therapy. Like, remember, electroshock therapy back in the day used to be put in mental institutions or sanitariums, they called them sanatoriums, where people that were not, they thought were not right or mentally unwell were brought to and basically, like, shocked to death. Like, when you think about that, the way that we treated people who thought differently was pretty barbaric. So, many of these experiments too, which is really eerie, were conducted without informed consent, including on prisoners, hospital patients, military personnel, and civilians. And so I think it was in the '70s that the program became public through congressional investigations after many records had already been destroyed. So basically, this was being done without people's consent. And again, people who were vulnerable, like patients in hospitals, military personnel, civilians, prisoners, right? There is talk of the fact that there is a list of celebrities that when they decided to essentially sell their souls to have this fame and this money and power, there is talk that some of them did experience forms of this brainwashing. And it's really like, I honestly, I asked for a list. So I actually went to Chad and I was like, give me a list. And Chad didn't want to give me the list at first because it hasn't been confirmed. But there's this weird synchronicity that shows up. All of the artists that are named, where people think that they might have experienced this, have all dyed their hair blonde
Mm,
after
yep.
experiencing their fame, but then starting to go off the deep end, and people start to notice the behavior change, right? Many of them being very young, brought into the arts at a really young age, and often having something called a handler or a groomer, which is really scary. And this still exists today. I work in the arts, right? Like, I've worked in film and TV, I've worked in voice, and I'm not saying that I've seen this, in front of my eyes in my life, but I've seen what happens when young artists and even just with a stage mom, like we've all heard of the stage mom that gets it interferes way too much and gets way too involved in their child's career, most of the time because they're living vicariously through that child and they often see the dollar signs. And so they keep, pushing their child past a child's limits, like taking a child's childhood away so that they can do their art, I say in quotes. So, some of these people were Britney Spears, Kanye West is listed, Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Miley Cyrus, Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan, Michael Jackson. I'm gonna pull back on the Michael Jackson because I think he had a really important mission, and I think he was trying to spread the truth, number one, and he was, defamed, right? So he was shamed, defamed, and treated really horribly. Doja Cat as well, Rihanna, Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, Marilyn Monroe could have been one of them, and Whitney Houston. And so after giving you this list, what I notice about a lot of these people is that they all end up kind of getting called out for drug use at some point. So I mentioned when I was talking about MKUltra, the fact that they would use LSD to almost distract and confuse them. So who's to say that they weren't being fed other drugs and things, to push them over the deep end. And we don't even know about the prescription drugs that they take or that they were given, right, by their doctors, I say with my fingers in quotations. So I don't know. Do you see this, Mel? When
Oh
you look
yeah,
at
absolutely.
Yep.
What's interesting is about like the drugs and like pushing people into like almost a psychosis state is like when we talked
Yeah.
about we talked about this in our plant medicine ceremony, or episode, and
Yes.
how like if you do this too much, you detach from your soul detaches from the human vessel,
Yes.
the body, right? And so it's like
Correct.
mm, maybe the powers that should not be know this. And so
Mhm.
they use these substances like LSD to literally detach the soul from the body. And
Mhm.
perhaps at that point, when they've detached the soul from the body, they can then put in a new soul.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. And you made me think of something. For a very specific example. Um, So they often in our media and in our entertainment, they will often tell us the truth, but make it look like a fancy story so that we think, "Oh, it's just a fantasy. Oh, it's not real. I'm just." So you're consenting to this story, you're getting connected to these characters. So think of one example. Think of the film Zoolander.
I
So
love
we all remember Mugatu. I love that film. Like Mel and I are millennials. We grew up with these hilarious films, right? That I still would go back and watch today and laugh at. But there's that character Mugatu, who is played by Will Ferrell, and he's a big fashion tycoon. Like this guy, he's a designer. Derelict, like he has this campaign
it.
where he basically is putting garbage on people and calling it fashion. And what ends up happening is he hires Zoolander to be his like main male model for this huge campaign that he's doing. And then you start to see this brainwashing technique that he's been using on all the models. All the models are like brainless, right?
Yeah,
And so Zoolander discovers this. And the video, it's actually kind of funny when I look at the movie. It's not funny when you think about what if that this could be done to people, really.
they're
But like
telling
he's
the
just
truth.
repeating. Yeah, he's repeating the same things over and over again. There's like these weird mandalas. There's like this weird video that he keeps being made to watch, right? And they ended up brainwashing him to there's like this trigger word or something that triggers him, and they because they
Kill
want
the
him to kill the
Malaysian
Malaysian prime minister,
prime minister.
right? So this is like, yes, this is fantasy and this is a movie, but sorry, like it's a little bit too close to home with some of the things that we talk about are actually happening in the world and the things that we are starting to sense with these artists, right?
And they do this with film, right? Like they
Mhm.
literally, and this is why we're talking about Hollywood, right? Is like they tell us the truth because there's they still have to follow like the universal laws, right? Which like they need our
Of course.
consent, right? And they have to
Mhm,
tell us the
mhm.
truth. But then they somehow get away with it by branding it fiction. So like
Mm,
we like this isn't all film. Like it's always and it's what's interesting about film is that when you're watching a movie, you're always rooting for the underdog, right? Like
yeah.
it's always
Mm,
the underdog story, and then it's them versus the kingdom, right? Like
mhm,
it's them versus the government, it's them versus all of this like huge control system
mhm,
that's bringing them down. And then and in these movies were like, yeah, go underdog, right? But then when it comes to real life, all of a sudden the mass majority of people, because the gods of now, because Hollywood, because Beyonce, because Jennifer Aniston and Ellen DeGeneres and fucking all of these people are telling us, yeah, get the clot shot. Yeah, don't be a ground killer. Yeah, do all these things. We're like, oh, our
Yeah.
gods are telling us what to do, so we should listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
But the gods in the movies are controlling everyone, and we're listening to the underdog that's fighting back. So like that's always been like something that's so confusing for me, is that they're telling us the truth in the movies and it's very fucking obvious. And then they play it in fiction, and not only fiction but also comedy. Like Zoolander is hilarious.
Absolutely.
But it's a actual story of what happens when someone moves in to this Hollywood fame scene and they want to keep
Mm-hmm.
going with it, right? Like you
Mm-hmm.
enter at the ground floor, and then if you really want to get famous, then you have to sell your soul. And
Yes.
I saw this clip of Ariana Grande, right? Um and where she had said, "Oh, my memory's not so good because of the what did she call it? Do you know the clip I'm talking about?"
Yes. So, okay. The Ariana Grande clip. So I actually did some research. I had to write this down because I was like, come on. They're talking about it in the, like, she's literally saying it to the reporter. So, okay. So what actually is the case? She released her album, this deluxe version of her 2024 album called Eternal Sunshine, along with this 30-minute short film or music video called Brighter Days Ahead. So in the interview, she mentions the Brighter Days Clinic. So I'm looking up this clinic going like, what is this thing? Is this real? Is she actually just telling us the truth and we're all just laughing, blah, 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 blah? I think partially yes, but um, in the music video, she plays this character, Peaches, a heartbroken young woman visiting a clinic named Brighter Days Inc. to have the memories of her lost love wiped from her mind. So when she mentions that clinic, it's actually in a music video of hers. But I still think, again, she's planting the truth in her art, in her culture, right? Or in her art, excuse me, in our culture. So in the video that we see, it's like a 30-minute music video, as I mentioned. She's an elderly woman visiting this same clinic to try this new procedure to restore her memory. But the whole thing about the music video is she's only allowed to restore her memory once and see her life again, and then it's gone. So that's what she's referring to in that clip. But thank you for bringing up Ariana Grande because recently, many of you might have seen the musical Wicked. I love Wicked. I grew up with that musical. I remember it coming out, and my best friend, like, he was a music director at the time, calling me, and we like listened to it on the phone together. Like, it was so exciting. But basically, it's this really interesting twist on The Wizard of Oz, where we see that the Wicked Witch is actually not the bad guy. And the bad guy in the story is actually the Wizard of Oz. It's the government. So, what I find so interesting is here's this story about this Wicked Witch and her friend who actually doesn't have any powers. So Galinda the Good Witch in the movie is not gifted as a magician or as a wizard, but Elphaba is, and Elphaba is the Green Witch, the Wicked Witch that everybody doesn't like in the original story, in The Wizard of Oz. And so we see this. There's this really interesting subplot as well with these animal beings that are able to talk, but they're imprisoned. And when they're imprisoned, they lose their intelligence and they start being mute and they can't speak anymore. So there's all these, to me, this is like a weird parallel to like what went down in Atlantis. This is what's
Right.
so crazy. And I'm kind of realizing this now as I'm talking this out with you. But if you have a look at Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo in real life, when they're at events, when they're at interviews, there is some spooky handler stuff going on there. So there has been dramatic weight loss for both of them. Both of these women are extremely talented. And very honestly, I love this musical. I didn't want to like Ariana Grande in it, but she was great. Like, she really was great as Galinda. And Cynthia Erivo sounded like incredible as Elphaba. But when you see them in real life, first of all, the weight loss has been dramatic. There's this weird ownership, awkward, creepy relationship between them. Like, there's this one clip of a reporter taking Ariana Grande's hand and kind of going, like, shaking it and being like, yay. And like, Ariana's kind of like, oh, this is weird. And then you see Cynthia take her hand away and be like, don't touch her. There's another clip where you see Ariana Grande in a photo with someone. She has someone's got their arm around her, and they cut to Cynthia Erivo's face, and it looks like she's about to murder the person that is touching Ariana Grande. So I find it incredibly eerie that there was this version of Jesus Christ Superstar that was put on, another musical I really, really love. And they decided to cast Cynthia Erivo as Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. And there's this clip of her. I haven't watched it because, to be honest, I love that musical and I don't really feel like we need to gender bend Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm not interested in seeing her sing it. I want to see a dude that's a tenor sing it. Like, I'm not interested. So, but they cast her and they show her in this white kind of like ripped up, like she looks like she should be in the music video Thriller. And she's got like chains on her wrists, and it's like, I think it's the crucifixion scene or the whipping scene, I can't remember. But it's like, it looks demonic. And I'm like, so you've made this being that has sold her soul, who looks like she might eat you, into Jesus for this brief moment to play. I don't know, like, there's a lot that's really eerie to me. And when you see the interaction between these women, like, it's really uncomfortable. And then they came out saying like some made up word that they're like, I don't even know if it's part of the LGBTQ 54321 spectrum. Like, I don't know what it is, but like there's some term that they came up with, and I was like, I think we're just trying to cover something up here that's very obvious to a lot of people. Or they're so blind by their love for them in the musical that they just don't even notice, you know? And please know, I love this musical. I also love the film and how they did it. I love that they did it with real sets. They even planted a real garden to create the garden in Oz. Like, it is incredible. The choreography is incredible. The singing is incredible. It's so well done. And it wasn't done by Disney, thankfully. Like, it was not. But
So who did it?
let me look up the production company. I can't remember. It's another big one.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and like what's just like interesting about all of this is that they're controlling the narrative, right? So like they control it what we see and have access to. And so
mhm.
they're telling us cuz so okay, I can't watch musicals. I know I just can't. I don't know what it is.
Not
Ever
everybody
since I was a kid, anytime like they break out a song in a movie, I'm like, this is so unrealistic, and I'm immediately pulled out of feeling like relating to what it's going on, right? Like I'm like this is just all of a sudden super fake. They're all singing and dancing together. I am so uncomfortable and I hate it. And so I can't watch them. Yeah, so yeah, I fall asleep in musicals because I just can't relate. Like, when we're not breaking out in song, this isn't real. You've lost me now. You've lost the plot because I can't imagine me being there because I would never participate
You're
in
so
breaking out
funny.
in song and dance. Um,
Do you know what we say? We say, and my friend who is in musical theater, my best friend is a musical theater performer. She says, when the emotions are so big, we have to sing them. We can't talk about them anymore. They're too big and we have to sing them. I was like, that works for me because that's all of opera. These enormous emotions. We're like, we're going to sing everything because it's so big.
and I'm
Imagine
just
if
like,
you're having a
"Run
fight
away,
with your
get
partner
the
and you just
blanket
start
and hide
singing at
under."
them.
What was that?
I said, imagine if you start having a fight with your partner and then you just start like singing at them. They'd be
I
like,
could see that
hey,
for
you
you.
win. I can see that for you. My boyfriend's tone deaf. That's the best part. He wouldn't even hear it the way that I want it to come out.
Uh, okay, where were
Oh, that's
we?
funny.
Yes. Okay. So can you okay, wait, I don't know if we want to get into this storyline of Wicked or not, because it kind of brings us off topic of this Pantheon. But
Oh,
like if you could like briefly spoiler alert the whole thing, because like we know
yeah.
Wizard of Oz, like for me, I know Wizard of Oz. I know that it's all about this illusion, right? Of like
Mhm.
this
That's it.
man behind the curtain that's
Mhm.
dictating it all, which is
Yep.
hello, what we're talking about. So how
Yeah.
does it go even deeper in Wicked?
So think about like these, these CIA peeps or those military like when we were talking about the in Romania, where they found this really powerful psychic, which inspired Stranger Things. So in Wicked, the Wizard of Oz has no magic. He is not magical, like in the movie. But Elphaba is magical, and they're looking for someone who can read the grimoire, which is the magic book, basically, like that has been around since the beginning of time. And so they find out that she is actually the one who can activate the book. And in the story, sorry, spoiler alert, she actually creates the flying monkeys by accident. So she's reading the book and she's doing this spell, and there's a whole song with the spell. I plugged my ears during that because I was like, I don't know what you're singing about, or what spells you're saying. And she basically reads this spell, and then all of a sudden, like, she loves the animal. She's super connected with them, and she's on their side. And she basically creates the flying monkeys, and she reads the spell, and then all of a sudden the monkeys start sprouting wings, and like it's painful for them. It's really hard to watch, actually. So what's funny is it's like, oh, well, we need to go find this high powered psychic so that we can look into this time travel machine and we can go and find how to operate it. It's the same in The Wizard of Oz. He needs Elphaba to use her magic to activate the grimoire, the book, and she's just reading it, not realizing what she's reading, and she ends up that the first thing she does is create the flying monkeys. And then she steals the book because she isn't actually a bad person. She
Oh.
books it and she runs away. And so their whole plan is to basically like they want to take down the wizard at the end because that's the highest of the high. And like even the teacher, even I can't remember, Madame Morrible, the teacher in the story, she's also in on it. So she's kind of pushing Elphaba towards, the Emerald City and going to see the Wizard of Oz. So it's like, that to me, that's a spooky, spooky little parallel there, that like they can't do things without our consent, but also we are so powerful. We are the quantum technology. We don't need a middleman. If humans know their power, imagine what we can create and imagine how we can overthrow and not even overthrow, ignore and move on and live in joy without these gods telling us what to do and keeping us small,
Well, I think
right?
that what
So
you just said is so important, is that we don't need to overthrow them. We just need to stop
no.
listening to them and start doing
Yeah,
our own thing, because they can't
yeah,
then they can totally lose control. It's not about,
yeah.
like, overpowering them, it's about ignoring them. That's a great point.
Exactly. Exactly. And like for instance, I used to love Netflix. I used to have it. I got rid of it, very honestly. If you look at Netflix and you look at the conflict that's going on in the world right now, you look at the genocide that's happening in Palestine, the majority of the actors that have been hired to work on movies and shows that are on Netflix all showed very clearly and out loud their support for Israel.
Huh.
To me, that tells me a lot.
Yes.
And some of them even identifying as Zionists proudly. So that it goes deep, man. And it's really funny. There's actually a, a musical, your favorite, called Spamalot, and it's based on the movie. Like it's based on the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And there's literally a song in the musical called "You Can't Succeed on Broadway If You Don't Have Any Jews." It's a hit, like, it's a ringer, it's super funny, and it's a joke, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong, because a lot of the entertainment industry owners are Jewish people, and I'm, like, not here to say anything bad about anybody, that's not it, but if we look at the support and the ignoring of a genocide where, like, a race of people is being killed, still to this day, it's still happening, um why did all of these celebrities show support for the side that was actually murdering all the babies and the children and the people? You know? I don't really wanna watch those shows personally. I think that's, um I don't wanna give them my business. I don't wanna give them my money. I also got rid of Disney. I don't even need to go into why I got rid of Disney, right? So, I don't know. I think you just have to follow the words of what people are saying too. Like when people are being so blatant to speak out and show support for something that is so hateful, but then they continue to work, they continue to have like business, they continue to get jobs and be in these films and things. Like look at Macklemore. Like what an amazing guy. He's using his platform as an artist to speak the truth. And I hope he stays safe, you know?
I haven't paid attention to him in a long time. I used to really like
Mhm.
his music, and then I don't know, I
He's
just stopped
awesome.
listening.
Yeah,
Um,
but he's still speaking out, and there are many. I should look up a list because there are many I just can't remember off the top of my head of people who have spoken up and like Gabor Mate's son. Oh my gosh, Daniel Mate. Like he has been such an amazing, and he's a Jewish man, and he's speaking out, going like this is not okay, right? So when you
well,
have a
and
platform like that,
what's interesting about Israel is and the powers that control Israel, right?
hmm
And we're gonna get into this in a couple more episodes,
yes, yeah,
um, is that they've stolen the Jewish faith and they're hiding behind it. Um,
yes.
and so I think, like, oftentimes people get called out for being anti-Semitic because, like,
Mhm.
it is the Jews, that are in everything, that are behind everything, but it's not the faith, per
No.
se, and it's not your average Jew. It's not the people that you and I know, right?
No.
It's the powers that
They
should
have
not be that have
yes.
taken control of the situation, but now that being said, what I know about the Old Testament, what I know
Mhm.
about the Torah, w the Talmud is, like, not very pretty things. Like, in the Talmud, it's like their book of laws, right? Like, it's not necessarily their scripture, but it's their book of
Okay.
laws, and so in that, it talks about SAing three-year-olds.
Um, did not know
Legit.
that.
Yeah, yeah. No, and how it's okay.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I know. So it's like it's really like if you start looking into it, it's actually quite horrific. Now, the same to be said about in my opinion, all Abrahamic faith. Like it's all like Abrahamic faith starts in Abraham listening to some fucked up voice in his head, sorry mom, to go and murder his son, right?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is this is the lineage that we follow that of all of these faiths are like we're supposed to be worshiping Abraham because he
Hmm.
listened to God, and then they're like, "Are you?" "Yeah, but then God stopped him. He was just proving his allegiance. He didn't
Hmm.
actually do it." "No, but they went and murdered a goat right after, not to eat."
Yeah.
Like, so
Why would a God that is loving ask that of you?
exactly, and then we look at all this destruction in the world and this, like, we talked about the divide and conquer thing, I think in last episode or the one before, and it's like these these countries are fighting each other, and they're all of Abrahamic faith, like,
Huh.
different to a degree, but the same. Like, it's all this, like, monotheist God who has taken
Huh.
over the world, and we have to fear and obey.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, when the majority of culture, right, like, over the world, the majority of culture practices Abrahamic faith, whether it's Islam,
Yeah.
Catholicism, Christianity, which is a branch of Catholicism,
Mhm. Mhm.
Judaism, like, the majority of the world is fearing and obeying their God. And
Yeah.
so we have this, like, globe. If it's a globe, I'm open. Um, I think it is, but I've also gone down the rabbit hole of the flat earth stuff, and there's some compelling arguments, I will say. But
I don't really have a comment. I don't know.
yeah, I've never been off the planet, so I don't know. I have not seen anything that I haven't seen with my own eyes. And even then, we can't trust that, especially if it's on a screen. I digress.
Produced by NASA.
Produced by NASA, Miss Katy Perry, Miss Astronaut. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Amazing.
So we are based in a fear society, right? Our culture across the globe is based in fear, right? And they use fear to control. Fear is so good to control.
Yep. Kind of like the monarchy, doesn't it?
So yeah, this is where I kind of want to go now is like we're talking about Hollywood and how we worship these gods. Now before Hollywood, before film, before TV, television, we worshiped the kingdom, the royals, the monarchy,
Mhm.
and it's based in fear and control, right? Like, it's like they have everything and we must do everything for them to I don't know, like, I don't understand. I mean, I understand to, like, a degree that it's literally encoded in our DNA to obey because they did that on purpose when they created us. Thank you,
Mm.
Voldemorts. Um, but like, at the same time, as someone who doesn't fear and obey, as someone who, like, very much goes, like, "Fuck you, I do what I want," I don't get how other people don't see it. But anyway,
Yeah.
so the royal so, what's interesting is Prince Harry and his wife Meghan got kicked out of the royal family.
Yes. And I wonder why. Do you know
Yeah.
why?
Well,
Mm.
racism.
Oh, yes. Yep. That old Betsy.
But it's not necessarily racism, it's bloodline. So they want
Mm.
to keep the royal bloodline, quote, unquote, "pure." Now what
Oh.
means is the monarchy, the royal family, they are descendants of the original Anunnaki, okay? So, like, if you
Mm.
trace the bloodline all the way back, it goes all the way back, and
Wow.
they wanna keep and so, like, within the whole area, they, like, kept the royal families from place to place breeding with each other so that they would maintain their DNA that isn't altered like ours is. So, like, our DNA, like us common folk, and especially if your blood type is positive. So if your RH factor is positive, so whether it's AB, O, B, A, as long as it's positive, like you're a hybrid mutt.
Ah.
Me too. Okay. This is no shade. This is just they want to maintain the negative and ideally the O negative. It
Interesting.
AB negative and O negative are their like creme of the crop. So they wanna
Uh.
maintain this bloodline because it has less of the obey gene and more of the Anunnaki gene, and they want this gene, and it's got they so, like, there's theories that this is, like, also the Nordic bloodline. Um,
Ah, interesting.
yeah, so they want blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin. Blonde, blue-eyed, fair skin type RH factor negative. So, it's not that Meghan Markle was black, it's that she wasn't, of her she's a mutt, right? Like the rest
Uh-huh.
of us.
Yep.
So they don't want the royal family to do that. Now, this brings me to Princess Diana. So, Princess Diana, Diana Spencer, right? So she's
Mhm.
from this bloodline. They brought her in to marry and breed with Prince Charles, now King Charles, to maintain this bloodline.
Mm.
However, this was a marriage based on a blood descent and not a marriage based on love. So Prince Charles was already in love with Camilla when he courted Princess Diana, which he was assigned to, like he had to do it, and have children with her, which is now Prince William and Prince Harry, right? But like from the get go, and she was so young. I think she was like 19.
Wow, see?
I didn't write this down. I should have wrote this down in my notes. But anyway, so she was so young and she was like just wanting she was like, "Oh my god, a prince wants to is courting me," and, like,
Sure.
was all about it, and then, I think genuinely probably fell in love with him, but the whole time he had this side piece, Camilla, but she had these children with him, and then when she's in this family, she, so she had a close friend. So her close friend's name is, I believe she's still alive, Christine Fitzgerald.
Mm.
And so after Princess Diana passed, which she was also torn of her title of princess when they got divorced, which is so ridiculous. And then people were looking
He
at,
keeps his,
yeah, like they were like,
course.
yeah. Anyway, the people loved her so much that she was then given the People's Princess title because the people stood up to the crown and
Sure.
won. And I think like if we know that they were like they could concede something like that of like
Mhm.
renaming Princess Diana princess because the people demanded it. It's like what else could we demand? Because like obviously if there's
Mm.
enough of us and we demand something, they have to listen because they know we outnumber them. It's like the movie,
Yeah.
Bugs Life. Love that movie.
Yes. I love that
Um,
movie too.
this is this is where I get my rebellion from is I grew up in I'm rooting for the underdog. Anyway, so Christine Fitzgerald, which was a close friend of Princess Diana, after Princess Diana was murdered in that tunnel, David Icke started talking to Christine Fitzgerald, and Christine Fitzgerald told David Icke that Princess Diana told her that the royals weren't human. We're
That
not
checks.
human, okay?
Wow.
So she's seen some shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, and, like, if you watch her interviews of after they got divorced, you can see it in her eyes. She's seen some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about Princess Diana's death, so they had been divorced for about a year, when she died, and she was dating this man named Dodi Fayed, and he
Mm.
also died in the car crash. Now, the night that they died, so Princess Diana had told her friend Fitzgerald that she thought that she was gonna be killed in a car crash.
Mm. Wow.
And so the night that she died, when they died in this tunnel, right? They were in the tunnel for an hour before any sort of EMS accessed them.
Wow.
She was alive. This is allegedly, so it was on a full moon,
Mhm.
'kay? It was a full
It's a
moon.
ritual.
They were underground. It was a ritual. They performed a
Yeah.
ritual in that tunnel, and
Oh my
sacrificed her.
gosh.
And then after this, so her boyfriend also died, and the driver died. The
Mm.
bodyguard was the sole survivor. Interesting.
Mm.
'Kay.
Interesting. Who's he
Bodyguard,
working for?
handler.
Yep.
right? Is he protecting her or controlling her?
Yeah.
So the father of the boyfriend, he's passed. His name was Muhammad Al-Fayed, and
Mhm.
he went to the media. He went full, like, just spewing.
Yeah.
So he went to the media and he said that Diana was pregnant with his would have been grandson. And he said that the monarch and MI6 killed them, and that the the sole person that, um, what's it called, ordered it was
Yeah.
Prince Philip.
Huh.
And he also made claims that the royals he had said in a public statement that they were the Dracula family.
Of
Um,
course.
and so I was like, "Okay." So I'm like I'm going down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, "Oh, we've talked about Dracula. We talked about
Mhm.
Dracula in in our episode when we were talking about, in Romania, the ancient technology that was discovered." Okay, so what's interesting about the Dracula family comment from the father of Diana's boyfriend is that King Charles, now King Charles, then Prince Charles, had a well-known fascination with, Dracula and Transylvania. Now yeah, and so he was in a documentary. So in a 2011 Romanian tourism environmental documentary called Wild Carpathia, um, King Charles is then Prince Charles quotes, "The genealogy shows that I am a descendant from Vlad the Impaler."
There it is.
So he admits that he is a descendant so I was like, "Okay, let's follow that trail." So I followed I pulled up the good old family tree here. Um, and so I wanna tie this back to because a handful of episodes ago, we talked about in Romania, which
Mhm.
is modern day Transylvania, okay?
Mhm. Bingo.
So in Romania, AKA Transylvania, um, I mean, you know, not you. There was found the tunnel system that led to the ancient technology of the time travel technology
Yes.
that was
Yes.
then turned on by the it was MKUltra, right?
Sort of, like, it was not really MKUltra. Like, it was that dude the one that had the psychic capabilities, so more like Stranger Things.
Right. It was a
Yeah.
mind control
Yes.
US
Yes.
top secret
Yeah.
remote viewing kind of
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
still magical.
Yeah, and still fucked up because they had to fuck with his psyche for him to access that ability,
Yep. Yep.
through torture, right? Was able to go back in time and turn on this ancient tech. So this is in Transylvania, okay, which I find super
Mhm.
interesting, okay? Very
Mhm.
interesting. Now, I go back in time with King Charles, with his lineage, right?
Mhm.
And so it goes so his lineage so it's him, and then his mom, Queen Elizabeth II, then King George V, then Queen Mary of Teck, then Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, then Countess Claudine Rede von Kisred, then Transylvanian and Hungarian aristocratic families, and then Basarab Draculesti noble lines. Sorry. Sorry about my
No, you're good, it's just these
then
names.
Vlad the Third, the Impaler, aka Dracula, and then his dad, which was Vlad the Second, which is Dracule. Now What's interesting about the word Dracula is that it literally translates as the son of the dragon.
Oh, wow.
And then so I went into Vlad the Impaler,
Mhm,
which was coined the nickname Dracula, the son of the dragon. His dad,
mhm,
Vlad the Second, which was Dracule, um,
mhm.
was a member of the Order of the Dragon. Now,
Huh.
the Order of the Dragon was founded in 1408 by Sigismund of Luxembourg. And the alleged main purpose was to unite Christian nobles and rulers against the Ottoman invasion, which was the Islamic Empire. And so it was a secret brotherhood of elite families. Are we raising any red flags?
Okay.
So it's a tale as old as time. A
Oh.
secret organization that is of elite families, elite bloodlines, hanging out in secret, planning wars and military alliances. Um, and so the guy that founded it, Sigismund of Luxembourg, lived from 1368 to 1437. He was also, get this, the king of Hungary, the king of Croatia, the king of Bohemia, and
Lovely.
Holy Roman Emperor.
Oh, but of course.
So he founded the Order of the Dragon, which Dracula was a part of. Um,
Mm.
and so this Sigismund he has the House of Luxembourg, which was the dynasty that controlled huge portions of Central Europe and tied to the Catholic Church. Hello.
Okay. The
Ugh.
connections are just undeniable at this point.
And it's just like it's the same thing that's in control since the dawn of time,
Yes.
and what's interesting is that they're called the Order of the Dragon, which, we're running out of time for today's episode, but I do want to talk about dragons, um, and what that means, because I did talk about the blood lineage, right? And,
Mhm.
um the Rh negative factor exists within less than 15% of the population, um, and they are said to be dragons. Dun, dun, dun.
I honestly, at this point, nothing seems impossible to me.
Yeah. So we wanna get back to talking about the dragons, but we're gonna circle back in a future episode to talk about the dragons and what that means, because this brings us all the way back to Yaldabaoth and the Gnostics that I talked about in some of our first episodes, and who
Can't
is
wait.
running the ship. And yeah, we'll do a whole episode about dragons in the future, because it's super important to know that maybe if you're calling dragons in at your women's circle, you don't really know what you're messing with. Um,
Oh, dear. Can I add one thing that you mentioned that, like, perked my ears up? Speaking of ship, the ship that rescued the survivors of the Titanic in the Atlantic Ocean was called the HMS Carpathia. Just saying.
what does this mean? Carpathia.
Okay, so there's talk of, well, you mentioned that he's from Carpathia, or his name was Carpathia. There Carpathia showed up in what you were just talking about. So there's talk that the sinking of the Titanic was actually done on purpose and it wasn't actually an accident. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe that'll be an episode later. But yeah, the thing, or the ship that came to get them was the HMS Carpathia.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Could mean nothing,
Everything
but
ties together, and so just to wrap this all up,
mm,
yeah, stop worshiping the gods. They're not gods.
mhm.
They're dragons, and they're fucking with us.
Period.
May peace be with you.
And may peace be with you.